Hello and welcome back to Forts, where today we have an extra special episode because today is the start of the Forts Pro League, where we're going to be seeing the finest matches and the finest players facing off against each other in a season-style format, ranking up their points, going up the ladder to culminate in the final battle at the end. And today to join me, we have a special guest. It's Nosehead. Go ahead and say hello.
Hey, Incursus. Hello, everyone. How you doing?
Doing well. Nosehead, for those who have not caught most of our live streams, when it comes to Forts, Nosehead is one of the developers here. He's here the most frequently to talk to you guys, the community, to join us for these matches. And hey, I've got to ask, what gave you the idea? Like, what is the motivation behind starting such an, well, dare I say, exciting league of all these competitive players?
It is exciting, I agree. And the motivation is actually we have to thank our dear friend Reliflex for starting up the Reliflex Pro League. And he ran that for a couple of seasons, a couple of years ago, I think. Now time is eluding me, and it was really popular with the community, and a lot of people got involved, and it was really exciting for us to watch him start that. And unfortunately, he couldn't keep going with it because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to maintain a league. And so it's always been on our plans to make the Pro League an official Earthwork Games sports thing, basically. So that was the inspiration to do it, and we're really excited to have it start here. We've got like some of the best players in the community playing. They've all joined up. They've created these crazy team names and crazy logos, and it's just going to be awesome to see some really high-end, high technical skill forts playing, and we're going to just do our best to really provide everybody with a really competitive, high quality competitive environment, for the league to exist in. And so we're going to be tracking the results on a website called Challenger Mode, where people can watch the ladders and the brackets and the stats, and all the players report their results there. And the other thing that's really cool is that we also have the amateur league, and so anybody can join the amateur league and start up a team. And at the end of the season, the top amateur team battles against the bottom Pro League team for a place in the Pro League. And if the Pro League team loses, they are relegated into the Amateur League. And if the amateur team wins, they are promoted into the Pro League. So yeah, that's really, I think, going to add a lot of excitement. And our current Pro League is set up was chosen through invite. We invited all the players, and it's basically people who have played Forts in the past competitively and are high ranked. And so they were invited into this inaugural season. But from now on, it's all based on performance within the league and within the amateur league. So very excited to see how this all goes forward from here.
And that's, I think, it's a pretty good explanation of what we're going to be seeing here. And, well, things are starting to kick off in this match, as here we have on the left-hand side, it is Team Spec Fanatiker, comprised of Naomi and Derbenzin Preisvergleiche. Now, I know that's a fun name to say, but he has shortened it for the sake of everyone. It's Derbenzin, and we'll be here from here on out. And they're facing off against their opponents, Team Way to Gnestieg. And, well, Bowser and Dami are going for something a little bit strange. This is a strategy we don't often see. While swarm missiles are not uncommon, like none of the things that we see these players fielding specifically are weird. The combination of swarm missile first into lasers before firing the swarm missile is just not particularly common. We do have upgrade sensors alongside lasers, which is, I mean, usually we would expect explosions by now. Its match has been going for 4 minutes 50 seconds. This is coming up to the 5 minute cannon o'clock timing, where the game usually kicks off with some extraordinarily heavy explosions, and yet we have players who haven't even yet finished their heavy weapons because they've spent so much on these alternate tech. So it's interesting to me that there's been this kind of pseudo truce where both teams are electing to not fire the first shot in exchange for free time to expand, to get additional resource production. As the first howitzer shell slams into Bowser's base, and a 20mm follows it up to clean up everything else.
Ooh. Nice shooting.
Very nice shooting. I am interested in the choice for the 20mm here. As many of you guys may have seen in most competitions, in most tournaments and such, instead of a 20mm, it will be a standard cannon, as the standard cannon just has much more penetrative power than the 20mm. That way the howitzer can splash damage everything, make a kind of a weak spot in the enemy's base, and the standard cannon can penetrate all the way through and break everything on the inside. There's a lot of AA on the field right now for Team WTK.
It could be like a resource choice, cost of resource.
It could be. That is an option. There is the argument that you could just get, two 20mm, and that's almost as effective as a cannon.
Just not as focused, is it?
Exactly. It's not very often we see the 20mm at this point. So I am always interested to see how it's going to pan out. But hey, Team Spec Fanatiker, as we have seen in the exhibition match, has performed quite well. So I can't question them too hard, but it does make me want to ask. Ooh, Dami had to sell off his extra doors to give him line of sight. Looks like Dami is explicitly attempting to snipe out that core, but Derbenzin is aware of that weakness and has preemptively placed an energy shield, as not even a door snipe, just laser after laser penetrates through what was once multiple doors, snipes out Dami's fire beam. It's going to leave Dami at a little bit of a disadvantage in firepower, as the sniper wars have begun. Looks like this time Derbenzin is victorious in this sniper duel, using machine gunners to just lightly dust the front of Bowser's base. Ooh, that's a lot of firepower. Oh no, there we have Dami losing both of their weapons. But still, the air is thick and laden with lead, anti-air cleansing the skies of that howitzer. What will Derbenzin and Naomi do to keep themselves in the lead here? Fire more machine guns, always a good option. I like that option. Works well. It looks like Derbenzin is actually investing in the standard cannon, so they will have an extra bit of firepower to go across the field. And of course, standard cannons, 20mm as well, are guaranteed damage for all intents and purposes. You don't have to worry about map control, you just fire your weapon and it does something on the other side. As we see lots of splash damage all over Bowser's base.
I think if Naomi could use the fire beam to stop the AA taking out the howitzer, that would help them if they could manage to get that working.
Yes, that is exactly a strategy we see very commonly throughout every one of these competitions. All these high-tier, high-caliber matches tends to feature that particular feat. I believe that's exactly what they're doing here.
Yep.
Howitzer lands.
Added.
Ooh, they are hammering that. Spec Fanatiker senses blood in the water. And there it is.
There it is. 2 for 1.
Wow.
Yep.
And we're off to round 2. Here we have the sides have swapped. On the left-hand side, it is team WTK, with Bowser and Domi having been defeated in quite spectacular fashion in the first match. They're looking to even the odds here to go up against their opponents, Spec Fanaticr, who, after a beautiful combo last round, took 1 point in this best of 3. They are on match point right now and only need one more victory to defeat their opponents here and claim victory for themselves. Benzine and Naomi, honestly, I think they are the favored group. As much as I know, they are less known compared to the big names like Bowser and Domi, who have for quite a long time taken those first place positions in the Fort's ranked ladder. In these tournament matches, honestly, Benzine and Naomi, they've been doing incredibly well. I do actually favor them to win this one. And this is, either way, this is going to be an exciting match.
I agree. Yeah, that's the beauty of this league, is that we're getting to see the seasoned veterans play at their best against the best, and the competition is fierce.
Oh yes, and it makes for, honestly, it makes for the best matches. And yeah, sure, we all love a good self-collapse, where it's always funny to see someone build a base that just can't quite sustain itself, and it collapses under its own weight in that satisfying, crumbling fashion. But when it comes to the best matches, it's always the matches which are filled with players holding on to their last gasp, putting up just one extra strut, one extra piece of metal to keep themselves intact and land that perfect door snipe to turn the odds into their favor, just turn the tides entirely. It makes for the best matches, and that's exactly what we're seeing here in the Forts Pro League. It seems that we have some fairly standard builds coming out of each player here in the opening game. Looks like we have just a heavy weapons rush out of both players for Team Spec Fanaticr. Looks like specifically Naomi is going for the EMP early opener. We have seen this rise in popularity recently, where one of the players will get an extra EMP, and while this does slow themselves down a little bit, it doesn't slow them nearly as much as landing the EMP on the other team, as we notice that WTK is doing the exact same thing, except a little bit slower, so they will, their own EMP will get locked down right before it's completed its construction. Now, it's worth noting that the EMP strat, extremely vulnerable to sniping. Usually, once a sniper comes out, you just sell off the EMP because, yep, there it is. Right there. Punished. Now, technically, very technically, Spec Fanaticr did deal some core damage with the splash damage of the EMP. It's not terribly important. The 4% core damage really doesn't have any meaningful effect on the match. It is exceedingly rare that 4% is the difference between winning and losing here. What does matter is having your core shut down, because the core is worth about 3 wind turbines. So if you don't have a core active, you don't get 3 wind turbines worth of energy production. As we see here, Naomi, for that brief moment, had both the core and all of their wind turbines locked down, meaning Naomi was actually draining energy with 0 energy production whatsoever. They were net negative energy production, which is quite a rough setback. And of course, every time the EMP hits the base and disables the heavy weapons production facilities, that second tier of tech, it delays the construction of it. As we have... Oh ho ho! Cannon o'clock is here, and the shots have been fired. Bowser takes heavy hits from both players from Team Spec Fanaticr, barely surviving as that laser over-penetrates Bowser's base, leaving it standing on stilts and deformed in all the worst ways. Alright, it looks like Team WTK is hanging in there. But they are both behind in weapons and behind in damage received. They're going to have to do something to crawl back into this match, because if they keep taking hits like this, it's going to get worse. And there it is. Getting worse right in front of our very eyes. Another howitzer round completely decapitates the top of Bowser's base, and with it, every single one of Bowser's weapons. All that investment and time spent is gone. So now Bowser's pretty much back to square one. They do have the technology to rebuild, so they won't have to wait that extra 90 seconds of construction time. But that's still heaps of resources and the construction time of the weapons themselves. The only weapon available now to Team WTK is the howitzer, which is about to finish construction. It's only got a quarter of the way left, so that's going to give it another 15 seconds before that's ready to go. As they're having a very hard time contesting the map here. Machine gunners and snipers on all sides, as that clears the way for the howitzer to land, and with the 20mm follow-up, we're seeing splash damage everywhere. Bowser's on fire. Dommy's missing most of their base. The turbines are gone. It's looking extremely rough here for Team WTK, as Spec Fnatica is simply dominating with raw firepower. A return volley. Ooh. A quick beach worth of sandbags eats the howitzer shell, keeping Der Benzene alive. That's a real quick reaction time there. That's impressive there. And quickly putting up a small amount of a blade of armor to try to eat that howitzer, so if that happens again, it will be prepared for it. Looks like Naomi following suit. The howitzer reloads for Team WTK, but will they be firing it now? Is the question. Both teams vying for map control as they attempt to use their snipers to remove the other snipers, as well as any and every machine gunner. As once those machine gunners are down, there's very few things actually to stop the howitzer rounds from landing. And the howitzer rounds are where most of the damage is dealt. It just deals, frankly, ridiculous amounts of splash damage to the base if it can land, and it softens the base up to a point where a follow-up with something like, say, a standard laser can just end the game. There we see it.
Come on.
Oh, again! Heavy weapons penetrating to the foundations. Look! All those struts holding up the core. It's like a spider web of sadness. It's just a mess in there.
That's insane. It is.
Poor Bowser. We've all been here before.
Yep.
It's rough. Oh gosh. They're gonna do it again. And here comes the follow-up. Oh, and he's out of energy!
Oh, out of energy.
Despite the gaping hole in Bowser's defenses, Naomi does not have the energy to fire that heavy weapon. That laser beam fizzes out at the moment it needed to penetrate through. Good lord. You see, these are exactly the kinds of games that I'd love to see in the Forts Pro League, and I want to say thank you, Nose, for putting this on and making this happen, because this is what we want to see here in Forts. Explosions everywhere in all the right ways.
Thanks for that, man. And actually, to be honest, there's a bunch of other people that are working in the background trying to make this run smoothly. We got all our trusty admins. We got 42 scientists and Kronk helping out, and we got Rome overseeing the community as well. And yeah, it's a big team effort to try and get this thing running smoothly. And yeah, really appreciate everybody's efforts.
It is very appreciated, as we have been operating in the Discord for quite some time to make sure this all goes as smoothly as possible. There's a long list of people who have been helping out with this, as we have.
Jeez.
Oh, it's getting rough. Oh, again with the energy, Naomi. Oh no! I do want to point out this is not strictly Spec Fnatic's fault, because Spec Fnatic is playing as the Architect Commander, which we've gone over the commander stats before. And what is happening here is WTK is playing as the Spook Commander. Spook Commander steals energy right out of the reserves of the opponents. So Team Spec Fanatiker is using Architect, doesn't have any way of mitigating that kind of cost. And so Team WTK, when they're having a bad time and those lasers are coming, they just steal the energy out of the energy cells of that heavy laser and shuts it down on the spot, which they've done twice now. It didn't save them the third time, but they tried. And now it's just Bowser left with this spider web of chaos holding himself up against insurmountable odds. To be fair, Bowser, an exquisitely strong player, does have a heavy laser, the plasma beam. And
not anymore.
Not anymore. It's gone. All right, then that leaves Team Spec Fanatiker as the victors here in this best 2 out of 3. Ladies and gentlemen, check out the description below where you can follow your favorite team. And as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single series. But for now, have a good night, everyone. And I'll see you guys later.